Um, you say you miss me a little bit. We view little in different ways, my dear. At least that's what I tell myself. I say things when I want them to be true more when they actually are. I say little, and you most likely see a pinch of salt falling at my feet. I see a salt lamp. I see your salt lamp glow that outshines every light I left on in the house to mimic you being home. I sometimes think we hear little in the same ways, but that paradise seems further than any flight I could take. Little became our language. Little became a lot more than we can admit. Little is the safe spot snug in our tongues that doesn't taste of abandonment like it usually does. Little means a lot more than little, at least it does to me. I miss you a little. I wish you were here a little. I'm a little scared to admit that. I'm a little scared of this. I'm falling a little too quickly. I think you feel a little bit the same way. You don't make me feel little, though. That's why this is a little too good to be true. I've started to notice the things I did that tuned me into the little ache for you. The way I turned in my bed to cradle you only to find your stained perfume on my sheets. I started tracing my fingertips on that one thigh spot you press your hands into while I'm driving. My touch is sandpaper compared to your velvet fingertips sliding up my tattoo, how I melt to the feeling. Every thought has your face sewn into, every thought I have your face sewn into, creating a weird patchwork of memories in the day, and in the corner is your smile reminding me of the day I wish I had. You're a little beautiful, you're a little funny. You make me smile a little more than I ever have. I'm a little excited for this. I created a fantasy future in the way I came home to you, the way you kissed me hello, and how I crawled into that pocket of warmth in your side that always seemed to be vacant for me. How you had a t-shirt at the end of your bed for me, anticipating my arrival, I hope. The way it didn't feel weird or awkward, just right. I want you here a little. I think of you every day a little. I wish I knew a little bit more about how you feel about me. This is getting a little ridiculous. I wish I knew how big your little is.
Woo! I look into your eyes, but I can't stare too long. It's like staring at an eclipse when the moon shadows the sun. You are the brightest star that I've ever seen, but invisible to you am I as the trauma smashes me. It stole all of my passion, all of my light, left me in the darkness with no option but to fight alone as I need to show that I am strong, that I can heal through this, although the road is long. See, it wasn't intentional. It's that I couldn't hear. Trauma left me reeling, clinging, driven by my fear. But you can't hear when you're living in fear. Fear of losing everything that's important to you, of perpetuating a reality that breaks you until it's no longer fear and reality completely shatters you. And then you realize that hurting people hurt people, hurting people hurt people, hurting people hurt people, and I don't want to hurt you ever. So now I'm on my path to strength. I heed all I have learned, all that's been asked of me. I step back to give space. I silence up. Left beaten, battered, bloodied, betrayed. I'm still here with trust, patience, hope, and love, and I will rise. Because hurting people hurt people, hurting people hurt people, but I refuse to do that. So I'll build myself back up, brick by brick by brick by brick by brick by brick by brick, until I'm so grounded I'm unshakable, unmovable, steadfast, strong once again. Because hurting people hurt people, but I will no longer hurt. I will heal, unwavering in my strength. I will rise stronger than ever. No longer invisible, I will shine just as bright.
I wrote this February 2019, apparently. Okay. I'm not food. The 5-second rule doesn't apply to me. You can't drop me, then rethink and think I'm not going to carry over the ugly. You can't simply pick me up again. as if there would be no repercussions that infect our relationship, minds, bodies. Do the math. There would be an aftermath. Do the science. Can't you see it makes sense? I'll be virulent because you are violent and cutting me off and dropping me. No excuses. It wasn't an accident. I'll make you sick because you make me sick. I'll be flesh eating till there's nothing left because this hurt is still a fresh feeling, and I wish it wasn't like this, but it is. Because it's your fault you didn't realize before that I'm not just another 3 a.m. grape on the floor. That was literally inspired by me dropping a grape on the floor at 3 a.m. in a friend's story. Thank you.
This one's called Firework, and well, it's pretty self-explanatory. You were a firework, bright, gorgeous, exploding sumptuously across my vision. For weeks, I couldn't see you through the seared patterns you burned in. My eyes were rewired to highlight all the sparks in your everything. Blinded of light, I excited over this explosion. You were all the occasions imploding as one being, and all I was seeing was your sparks in my brain and scattered delights across skies blazing. But what I began to see is fireworks are fleeting. See, you explode and erode the fuel required for us to collide. The climax of your flash will signal a single-use pantomime, and I can't believe I was so sucked in by something destined to be temporary and meant worth. Entertaining a notion that it was more than a brief combustion is my own fooling, but I've not seen a prettier display in many a year, and may I say, perhaps another time will be right and you or I will reignite, but for now, your trails are fading from my sight, and I'm afraid you've burned all the gunpowder in my heart away. But you're a firework, and for a second, your majesty held me in its paralyzing grip, and I gasped because you were too fabulous to be real, and when I asked myself to come up with an answer, well, not really. So I feel I must sit and while it lasts before you join the spent rockets and asteroids from my past. They too streaked across the sky, but they didn't sparkle. The attractions were not so impactful, but still made me stumble because blindness caused by bright, fiery night skylights is uniform. They don't care why they're combusting or where they come from. All I know is the ripple of ignition captured my attention, and my vision isn't clear yet, but it does soon because I can't live with streaks of you painted in my eyelids. You're a firework, and you'll soon just fade to blackness.
The first poem in my set is going to be an old one that I love so much. I love the way that I wrote this. It's called Don't Sleep with Poets. There is a content warning. It talks about sexual themes, but it doesn't talk about sex. So, yeah. The bed is warm. Constellations of freckles splash across his back. Such a broad back. So strange for it to have found its way into my bed. Throughout the night, I can't help but stare. How did such a pretty face end up entangled in my arms? Who is he? This strange human with a dopey grin and softness in his being. Don't ever have a one-night stand with a poet. We will spin those hours into an infinity of poems. Rumpelstiltskin being our forefather, we weave the wheat and chaff of memories into trinkets, threads that glimmer in the light and sew bundles of stories to our breast. You'll find your breath forming condensation in works years from now. The sweat from that night trickling into poetry readings held in bars and theaters. Drunk patrons will be unwishing voyeurs of our bed. Your memories will be co-opted, lines from your mouth staining my tongue as I repeat it for the world to consume, marking lips and teeth. Oh, isn't that a pretty shade of red? They will coo as I smile a wolf's grin and do not correct them. We are all consumed by something. The teeth nibbling at us will either be lovers or phantoms of the mind. tearing apart on coral reefs, limping into the shoals and baiting the water for the sharks. What situations will life bring into our harbors? The islands of bodies where we temporarily dock will be reclaimed by the midst of memory once more, forming into myths and legends swapped amongst sailors of old, Avalon idealized. Scrapes of bone, rock, and flesh against memory, reality never comparing with the maps we draw. The swoop and thrill of grinning sea monsters, a simple sign. Here be monsters is hatched out of, we don't remember. We remember too much. Thank you.